GitHub is a hosting service for software projects, and on each GitHub project, there is a tab for issues where users or the developers themselves can open up anything that might be an issue with the project. Now, typically the Issues tab has a place where useful discussions take place, and other times it's a source of entertainment. So today I'll be sharing my 5 favorite GitHub issues that I found over the years, so let's start with number 5. The first issue is for a project called neofetch. It is a command line system information tool. Basically, it displays information about your system, the OS, kernel, uptime. The issue that was opened was titled, "Neofetch is not displaying the weight of my computer. Is it possible for Neo displaying the weight of my computer?" You can see the comments, what the, ask your kitchen scale. So I don't know if this person was serious when they opened this issue, but as you could expect from the internet, comical replies ensued. This is a really good idea. Weight and volume are always hard to measure. Would be really useful. One could see the current weight of their laptop depending on the battery percentage. So reading through the thread, there was actually some pretty decent suggestions besides the funny ones. Since they are scraping hardware information about the computer, someone suggested that once the hardware information was determined, they could scrape publicly available information for the weight of different components. Either way, that being said, this was not implemented, but nevertheless, still pretty funny. Coming in at number 4 is a project called liftoff. It's a CLI for creating and configuring new Xcode projects. This one's a good reminder why recruiters should not chime in on GitHub issue threads. So if we take a look at the issue that was opened, it was add support for the new launch screen, XIB files. Okay, fair enough. Some regular discussion, not convinced this should be the default. If we keep scrolling down, right at this point, there used to be some comments here that were deleted by the initial author. Thankfully, someone on the internet took some screenshots. We can see here a post from a recruiter. Notice that you guys have been so active in iOS development. Would really like your input about this position I'm currently trying to fill. The company is asking for iOS developers with a strong LAMP background. We can see the first comment that came in. By LAMP background, do you mean writing flashlight apps specifically? A little bit further down, I meant LAMP stack. If you don't know what LAMP stands for, it stands for Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP, which is a typical software stack, or was a typical software stack that was used. It's just a quick way to refer to it. But obviously, the recruiter made a typo with LAMP background. I wrote a really strong web flashlight app. I could probably port that to iOS. It really just took off pretty quick. We can see here the recruiter was a little bit salty about the comments. Oh, great, funny, but not really helpful. And then still posted the entire job description. But then a little bit further down, it started getting pretty interesting. We have a stack of lamps, some more lamps, a literal stack of lamps. You gotta love it when people give some additional context on images. The senior lamp developer above is mentoring the junior lamp. Very touching. This is a funny one to read through. And as always, the links will be down below in the description in case you want to read through these threads yourself, which I suggest you do. They're pretty entertaining. So what can we learn from this? If you're a technical recruiter, you should probably stay out of the GitHub issues, because if you make one mistake, you will be eaten alive by everyone else in there. So on to number 3. This is for something called Twine, which is utilities for interacting with PyPy. This one's pretty straightforward. If we go to the issue, the individual said, I had some trouble using Twine to upload a package to test PyPy. I tried like this. They put the details, what else happened. And then scrolling down a little bit further, we get a comment. Were you able to resolve the issue? And then the original poster said, no, I decided I don't care. So not really much to it, but just the tone of the original person, straightforward, to the point. And, they didn't figure it out because they don't care. I feel like we can all learn something from this. Sometimes in life, there are tasks or problems that just aren't worth it. So sometimes you need to decide that you just don't care. So moving on to number 2, I actually had a pretty difficult time deciding on what should be first and second place, but ultimately I decided on setting Bumblebee, which is now old and abandoned, as second place. But if we go to the issue that occurred with this, install script does rm-rf/user for Ubuntu. So if we go down to the details for this issue, I want you to note just how many reactions are on this and how many comments were actually left. So the initial report says an extra space at line 351. So if you're familiar with Linux at all, RM, what that is used for is removing or deleting files or folders. The R flag specified here, that means recursive. And so if you have a folder inside of a folder, it'll remove everything after that recursively. And the F flag, that stands for force, so that means you will not be prompted for any confirmation on what you want to remove. And the mistake in the code was that there was this extra space here between /user and /lib. So instead of actually removing the xorg at the end of the path here, since there was a file here, what happened instead is that the /user directory was completely removed when this was run. We can see here, totally uncool dude, this script deletes everything under /user. I just had to reinstall Linux on my PC to recover. So yes, one single space caused quite a bit of issue, and if we see the response from the developer, well, first we have another person who, yes, this happened to me as well. The developer on the project fixed it, and then the comment, giant bug causing /user to be deleted, so sorry. If we scroll down a little bit further, we get some more information on why this mistake was made. Yeah, I was very tired that night. And then there's some comments. This is from the initial person that reported it. Get some good humor, laughing about it. Poor guy. Nice. You are famous. So I like this one especially. Give this man a round of applause. His styling caused Linux to commit die. This is the power of Linux. This whole issue actually reminds me of this meme. Hey, can I uninstall Edge? No, you will break your system. I'm going to uninstall the bootloader. Your system will break. Sudo, I'm going to uninstall the bootloader. Go ahead. Gotta love the power of Linux and what it'll let you do. Now that brings us to number 1, which I think is well timed for this time of the year, as you will see why shortly. This is for Visual Studio Code, which is a popular source code editor by Microsoft. The issue that we're looking at is a blend of humor and drama. To each their own and their own opinions, but this was for Santa Hat on VS Code Insiders, and pushing of religion is very offensive to me. So yes, you can read over what's going on here. If we scroll down further, the issue is that on VS Code, they added a Santa hat to the settings logo, and this was not taken kindly by some people, apparently. The developers actually removed it very quickly, but then what ensued was a storm of comments on this related issue. There were more comments on the original issue in the past, but they've been deleted at this point. The linked issue is the actual response from the Microsoft team. I'm pretty sure this turned into a rather large PR nightmare for them. They even had to lock the repository. This one always makes me laugh because I don't think I've ever seen such a detailed response from Microsoft on anything. They went into quite a bit of detail. They even added updates because of the response they got, the background, what happened, gave more details on the situation. This one got out of control for them real quick from a very simple change. But if you're looking for a thread full of humor and drama, then I think this one would make for a good read. There's a lot going on here. Probably my favorite comment on this issue is where someone took Octocat, which is the GitHub logo, put a Santa hat on it and a dreidel in its hand. I don't really have much more to say about this issue, as I don't want to get into this topic on my YouTube channel. Either way, it's still a piece of history, to me at least. That wraps up the list and this year. So Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year.